So Martin, thank you for stopping by with us at Storytel.
Delighted to be here. Yeah.
Do you listen to audiobooks?
I do, although not as often as I would like to, but
Right.
but I tend to play them in the car.
Yeah.
That's the main time I listen to them.
Right.
Yeah.
You think it's a growing way to enjoy?
Oh, I'm certain of that because it's both with short stories and novels. It's a great way to, and maybe particularly with short stories,
Right.
To get a few minutes listening time in a busy life is a great experience, I think.
Right. And technology helps you to find your place back in the book. And
Yeah,
you just
exactly.
start
Exactly, it's terrific.
where you left off.
It's terrific. So I do think they seem to be on the up and up.
Right. So we're really fortunate to have you here. You're a widely recognized leading authority on the crime fiction genre. We've been admiring the growth of Nordic noir in these past few years.
Yeah, and I'm a big fan of Nordic noir, just as I'm of the golden age detective fiction.
Right,
So
right.
I'm a fan as much as anything. It's,
Right.
I've loved detective fiction since I was a small boy, and I could never get enough of it, and that's still the case.
Right. You have one of your books on your the foundations of the genre
Yes, the golden age of murder.
Yeah,
which in some ways was a breakout
It's
book.
a celebrated classic almost
Yeah.
in the field.
Well, it was certainly a very lucky book for me. So it was many years in the writing, and it was a kind of love song to those classic detective stories.
Right, right. But the classics, are they always with us in fiction now, in murder mysteries, and is it always they're always the basics?
Well, I think if you talk about somebody like Agatha Christie, the answer is yes. I think that for many years, a lot of the other writers of the Golden Age period between the two world wars, they fell out of favour. And one of the key reasons for that was that fashion changed. But another reason was that the books were out of print. And one of the things about technology, we're talking about nowadays, is that it's quite easy to get books back. You don't need a long print run.
Right.
And so there's been a resurgence of interest, both in print books, e-books, audio books, in these classic stories. And so there's been a rediscovery of many authors who had been lost and forgotten for many decades, which I think it's really exciting.
Right. Was it a different type of, was the crime fiction genre different then? I mean, it's there are basics, right? I mean, there is the central theme of a whodunit idea.
Yeah, well, I think the eternal basic is to tell a good story.
Right.
There are many different ways of doing that. I think that after the First World War, people wanted escapism, and so there was a great interest in the idea of the puzzle and the idea of setting a challenge for the reader. Can you guess the solution before the great detective? And that was a very popular type of fiction. And I think that mystery still appeals to us. Of course, present-day mysteries are written generally in a different way, but and there's more direct social comments and things like that. But I think that the enduring importance of story and the mystery about a crime, maybe understanding what leads people to commit crime, I think that's always been with us and probably always will be.
Yeah. What makes the Nordic noir different?
Well, I think for me the big breakthrough was with Sherwell and Walu, the creators of Martin Beck. But they didn't have many followers immediately, and it was only some years later when you had books like Mrs. Miller's Feeling for Snow, and then you have people like Henning Mankell, and then the great explosion of interest in Nordic noir. But I think that those books, which combined, if you think of the Martin Beck series, a good story, a very good story, with social comment, I think, and an interesting setting,
Yeah.
I think that really resonated with readers, and later writers in this part of the world have carried on that tradition,
Right.
fusing the good mystery plot that entices the reader in with something about the society,
Yeah.
the world we live in, and also the wonderfully atmospheric settings
Right.
of this part of the world.
Right. Has TV changed the way writers approach writing the stories, the characters? Maybe particularly the characters?
Well, I'm not sure about that, or whether TV sometimes follows where the writers take it. And of course, a lot of the Nordic noir stories have been very successfully adapted for film and television, and then there've been the original TV series like The Killing. But I think that it always comes down, whatever the medium, whether it's audio, whether it's print, whether it's TV, it's the story that engages the reader from page one, or the first scene, or whatever it is, or the first few words in an audio.
Right.
That it's that grip, and then other things come out of that later on.
For yourself, you're an excellent writer yourself, but being a scholar in the field also, it almost makes you think that you would, look over the area and pick a certain part of it to engage in. Was that how you approached the writing, or did it come to you in a different way? How did you start?
Well, I've always been an enthusiast, and I, like other enthusiasts, I like sharing my enthusiasm with other people.
Yeah.
And I was always an enthusiast for the Golden Age detective fiction, amongst other types.
Right.
And it did seem to me that those books had slipped out of sight, with the exception of Agatha Christie and one or two others.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt it was time to re-evaluate those books and to try to answer some of the mythology that had grown up about them, that they were always cosy or conventional, conservative, which it really isn't true.
Right.
And so the idea of the book The Golden Age of Murder was to cast a fresh light on the old books, and to try to give a new generation of readers some idea of why they might enjoy rediscovering these books of the past.
Right. In one of your series, of your two main series, you use song names from the 60s, which I think is excellent.
Thank you, yes. Well, that
With
was
names like Take My Breath Away, Waterloo Sunset, and name of albums, or even parts of lyrics from the Beatles.
Yeah, that's
Blood
right.
on the Tracks.
Well, All the Lonely People
All
was
the
the very
Lonely
first
People.
one from Eleanor Rigby, of course, and that was a one-off idea. But then it gave me the idea to carry on that theme.
Okay, started
that's-
there.
So I started with that one, got permission to use that phrase as a title, and carried on from there. And of course, there's always an issue with copyright, so you have to be careful about using lyrics.
Yeah.
But I was very lucky that Ray Davies allowed me to use an extract from the lyric of Waterloo Sunset.
Okay.
So that was really exciting.
All right, yeah. Well, Martin, thanks a lot for stopping by.
Thanks very much indeed.